My name's Bree, I'm 16 years old and I've been using reusable menstrual products now for about a year. So I'm here today to explain to you, as I'm presuming your daughter's already watched this and you are a parent watching this, about RUMPs. Just in case you don't know, RUMPs stand for reusable menstrual products. So I'm just going to go straight into it so this video doesn't get too long. I have also dragged my mum into this video and it will be shown at the end, and please be aware I was very sick earlier on today. But I'm going to explain to you about menstrual cups and cloth pads. So I'll start off with menstrual cups. What are menstrual cups? Menstrual cups are cups made of medical grade silicone. They have no toxic or harsh chemicals in them, and they also can be made of TPE, which is a thermoplastic elastometer. They're both totally safe, and some of them have been FDA approved. Not all of them though, but they're all still perfectly safe. Just make sure you get them off a good website. I would not recommend getting them off Amazon. That's not very trustworthy. I'm going to show you the lunette because it's a really good example. So it's a menstrual cup that can be inserted and left in for up to 12 hours. There is no risk associated with this, unlike tampons, which are associated with TSS. No one has ever got TSS from a menstrual cup because there's no chemicals to react to it. The way they work is that you fold them up, insert them into your vagina, and they pop open, like that. They then collect your menstrual fluid, and they can hold up to 3 times as much as a regular tampon, sometimes more for some people if you get a bigger cup. But this is the size one, and this is usually best for someone your daughter's age. So they can be folded in a number of ways. It does take a while to get used to it, but once you've got the hang of it, it's really easy to use. They're great because you can use them for swimming and running, any sport at all. You can go upside down in them and it's all fine. There's many different sizes and styles, so you just have to have a look. I do have videos on this, so your daughter probably knows which one she wants if she is after a menstrual cup. They are 100% safe, and they can also be sterilised. Tampons are not sterilised, and they have a particularly nasty side effect as you probably know, of TSS. TSS is caused because a bacteria called staph bacteria, which stands for Staphylococcus aureus, I study this quite intensely, feeds on the leftover bits of a tampon. If you've ever taken a tampon out and felt that dry feeling, that's part of the fibres from the viscous realm, which is what your tampon's made out of, getting left behind in your vagina. And this is what the bacteria feed on, that creates toxin factories, and then this spreads to your liver, lungs, heart. It can, in the space of 2 hours, if you don't get medical treatment, you will die, unfortunately. But none of this has ever been associated with these because they do not take away the dry, they do not make your vagina dry, they keep its moisture there, they only collect the menstrual fluid. So that. And then we'll move on to cloth pads. Now, when people think of cloth pads, they seem to think of like us tearing up bed sheets and sticking them in our pants. It really isn't like that at all. We have special fabrics that's actually in this one, called, one in particular is called Zorb. It's specially made specifically for cloth menstrual pads and reusable cloth nappies or diapers, depending on where you are. And it can absorb 10 times its weight in water. As you can see, they're stylish, they have lots of different patterns, and this one's white and it really isn't stained at all, so that's good. But you can get them in many different colours. This is a smaller one. You can get them in panty liners, although you can go even smaller than this. I just didn't pick one up for this purpose. Panty liners, you can get regular flow. Here are all my regular flow pads, and they come in different lengths. Different fabrics. This is suede cloth and this is cotton velour. And then we go on to heavy pads. Again, you can get different shapes, different fabrics. This particular one here is Minky. Minky is a great fabric. It's super, super soft. I've never felt anything softer than Minky. It's also stain resistant, and it's made of 100% polyester. So it won't stain and it keeps really soft even in hard water areas. Something a lot of people like. So that's one of them. There's just cotton. Cotton is my favourite because it's really breathable. We also have some fabrics, as I said before, of suede cloth and Procool. These are stay dry fabrics, so you cannot feel the blood on you because they wick the blood away. So they're really good. I enjoy them a lot. And then we have overnight pads. This one is huge. This is 13 inches. You don't have to get them this big though. They can be any length you want. And this is also a postpartum absorbency pad, which is almost always advertised as postpartum or overnight because they can absorb heavy flow. So for whatever type of flow your daughter has up there, there will be a pad for it. If it's heavy, then there will be heavy pads. If it's light, then we have light pads and regular pads and everything you can think of. There. One of the benefits to using these that I found is my period got shorter and lighter. I also saw a reduction in cramps originally, but I have a problem with my uterus at the moment, so I'm experiencing a lot of problems, but that's not to do with the cloth pads. Menstrual cups are also really good, as I said before, for heavy flow because they can stay in for longer. Your daughter doesn't have to worry about them. When I had a menstrual cup, I literally forgot I had my period when I was at school. To use them out and about, we use wet bags. This is a little wet bag I have just for out and about. It's PUL lined. PUL is polyurethane laminate, and it's what makes pads waterproof. Some pads have it, some pads don't. As long as they're backed in fleece, they'll be fine because fleece is moisture resistant as well. And then I have a big wet bag to store all of my soil pads in before I soak them in a bucket. Washing them couldn't be simpler. I just have a bucket and I fill it with cold water, put a small scoop of some Vanish Oxy-Action Extra Hygiene in, although any Vanish will work. Then I put them in the washing machine with a Simply tablet, it's called Simply, and it will be quite clean. They'll be clean. If you wish to sterilise your pads, you can do that with tea tree oil. You just put a drop of tea tree oil in the bucket of water that you're using, and that will sterilise them. They don't have bacteria on, which is something that a lot of people get confused about. Disposable pads and tampons do. They are covered in bacteria to the point where actually some countries, such as Japan, have rejected selling them because of their incredibly high bacteria levels. As far as environment goes, roughly 1 billion pads, tampons and applicators go into landfill every year just in North America alone. That's only one of 7 continents. You can imagine what that's doing to our environment. Also, as far as smell goes, cloth pads don't smell, nor do menstrual cups, because what happens with the disposable pad is that the chemicals in the disposable pads react with the blood when they're put into oxygen, and they create that foul kind of odour you get. You don't get that with cloth pads, which is why it's perfectly fine to just put them in a bag. Make sure it's not airtight, make sure it's breathable, and you'll be fine. So if you have any other questions, please join our Facebook group that will be linked down below. It is private, so no one can see what's happening. Just click on join group and I will add you in straight away. Ask any questions you like. If your daughter has a question, you can always ask me. She's probably seen some of my other videos, so she'll know what happens. Your daughter will be solely responsible for cleaning the cloth pads, as I would never expect my parents to do so, and make sure she knows that. As far as picking maybe just 1 or 2 to try out to begin with goes, I would recommend you take a disposable pad. That's why my voice is going. Take a disposable pad and just put it on. And have a feel, does this feel too long for me? Is it too short? Do I want something that maybe feels a bit more thicker for more protection, or do I like the thinness of it? And then measure the pad and see how long it is so you get an idea of the sort of length you might like. There are cloth pad companies will make them in any length, straight from about 5.5 way up to 17 inches. I very much doubt you're going to need 17 inches. 13 inches is more than enough for me. So you could just have a look online, see the different fabrics, see what you might like, and I hope you have fun. So the next bit of this video will be me just talking to my mum about them. So I hope you enjoy it. So why did you let me use RUMPs?
So, I guess I couldn't really see any reason to stop you, because you were obviously very keen to use them, or at least to try them. And I suppose my philosophy has always been, you know, if something's not harmful and you can see some logic in it, you know, why not give it a go?
Why did you agree to buy me some pads?
Yeah, well, I don't think I quite realised how many I was going to end up buying.
Hey, I paid for half of them.
Although, to be fair, you do now buy them yourself.
Yeah.
But then I think you do have a reasonable snatch. I did buy the essentials. I'm not sure I even bought enough to be a complete set of essentials, but we bought enough to give them a good try, didn't we?
Yeah.
To start with, because that seemed to be the sensible thing to do.
You gave me a budget and then said I had to stick to that and buy some pads.
Well, that's what I usually do, isn't it, really,
Yeah.
with anything.
Okay, so why did you let me use a cup? Because this is one I think a lot of parents are more iffy about, is the cup.
Oh, really? Well, now that's quite interesting, because I think I could see more logic in using the cup. I think I was keener to use the cup. And yeah, definitely I was keener to use the cup, and actually I'm more of a fan of the cup than I am of the pads going on an ongoing basis.
I found them out when I was on my ME channel, because I'm sick today by the way, but I was on my ME channel and someone mentioned it, and I literally sent my mum a text that second and said, go and get me this cup from Boots.
And I went into Boots and I just couldn't believe they existed. I was amazed that there they were in an ordinary chemistry. So yeah, so I was happy for you to try those. I could see the logic in those, and they don't have any of the kind of washing issues that pads have, really.
Yeah, you just rinse them out in the sink and you can sterilise them.
And I just think they're really practical, because you know, you don't have to take anything with you.
So the story of in hospital.
So on one of the many occasions that I've been sitting in A&E with Brani in hospital, I had my period. I think we might have both had our periods. Certainly I had my period, and she dragged me out of the house at the crack of dawn.
Sorry, I was dying.
I know you were dying. So I had left the house at the crack of dawn, not really following your weight, not really concentrating, and not thinking about quite how long we were going to be sitting in A&E. So, cut a long story short, I didn't have any spare tampons with me. And you said, well, if you'd got a cup, you wouldn't have this problem, which is true. So now I am a big fan, because I just think, and I don't use it all the time, but I just think there are times when it's just really convenient.
Okay, so that's the cup. Then, what were you worried about when I first mentioned pads? Oh, sorry, first mentioned RUMPs.
So I think the whole concept seemed a bit odd to someone of my generation, because I'm kind of like the first generation that was able to use disposables all the way through. So certainly my grandparents and possibly my mother wouldn't have had that option when they first started their periods, because they just didn't exist, or if they did, they were really kind of bulky and ungainly. So it felt like going backwards in time. It felt like, oh God, going back to those days and all the, I don't know. And so I think it was just a historic thing, and also maybe the kind of washing aspect of it.
Did you think it was like torn up bed sheets and stuff? I think a lot of people tend to think that. They don't realise we have special materials specifically designed for this now.
Well, I certainly didn't, but I think that's probably because you stuck a picture under my nose and said, Mum, look, this is what I'd like to get, rather than talking about it. So I don't think there was ever really a time when I didn't know what it was.
I tend to give her like PowerPoint presentations when I really want something to explain the benefits and everything. But
yeah.
But I don't think I did that with that. I just went.
I don't think you did, but even without that, with the internet, you know, it's easy to find a good picture and just say, look, this is what I'm talking about. You know, this is what I'd like to try.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So next question: why should other parents let their girls use RUMPs?
Well, at one level, I would always say it's up to all parents to decide what's right for them.
Mm-hmm.
Politically correct statement, but I do think that.
Exactly.
But I guess I'm a big believer that, you know, when you're growing up, there are lots of restrictions that society puts on you. There's all sorts of things that, you know, kids and teenagers aren't allowed to do these days for health and safety this and health and safety that. So if there's something that you can let you know, so if there's things you can do and that it's just your choice and your decision to do, then I would always, you know, encourage you to experiment. So to that extent, it would just seem daft not to say, well, if you want to give it a try and it doesn't cost a fortune, you know, give it a whirl.
What do you think of them now?
What do I think of them now? I think I can absolutely see the benefits in them, and I do use them sometimes. I don't use them all the time, but I use them sometimes. I'm much more comfortable about the kind of cleanliness aspect. I think that's the other thing that I should have said before. You know, I suppose if I had a reservation, it would really be around, oh, you know, nasty, smelly things hanging around.
Yeah, you did say that to me actually at first, and I pointed out they don't smell like disposables do, and you can sterilise them, unlike disposables. But that's not really an issue.
No, but it's the kind of concept of having them lying around the house, I think, that puts lots of people off. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not so sure that I would have been as keen to let you try them if you hadn't been old enough to take responsibility for all that yourself.
Yeah.
So I think you know, if people really want to try them, then the biggest selling point is to, you know, say that they'll take responsibility for making sure that they wash them.
Yeah, and definitely you do have to be the one to wash them.
I think so.
And last question, which I haven't actually even mentioned her before, is...
Oh, gee, thanks.
What other benefits have you seen?
Well, I could be flippant and say I've seen you turning it into a money-making venture and turning it into a business. So, and actually you've made friends through it too.
Yeah.
But both those things are not really about using them, they're about finding something that works for you.
That's more YouTube.
Yeah, maybe.
More of YouTube.
Yeah, maybe. What was the question again? And don't take this the wrong way, but it is about that taking responsibility for something, and you're so organised and you're so efficient and you're so every aspect of it you kind of got under control. So you know, you organise to get the bucket to soak them in, you choose what washing powder you use, you know, you come down and put them in the washing machine, you put them out. So there's a big kind of taking responsibility aspect to it that I think is really great.
Thanks, Mum, for coming in and helping with this. If you already couldn't tell, we have a really good relationship. I don't know about all your relationships. I get a lot of girls saying they don't talk to their mums much, which makes me sad, but still. I hope that has helped convince you to let your daughter try, and you can always, as I mentioned beforehand, just let them try 1 or 2 different pads to begin with, and then if they really like them, perhaps consider getting more. But I explained it all beforehand, so thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe, and I will talk to you later.